everybody, Caitlin here, and welcome back to Coaster Magic. All amusement parks have their good and bad coasters, and in today's video, we are going to be ranking Hershey Park's coasters based off of a tier list, and we are also going to be looking at each tier from both the GP perspective and the enthusiast perspective. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first tier we are going to be looking at is the weakest tier. So for the GP, the coasters that fall into this category are Sidewinder, Wild Mouse, Wild Cat, and Coco Cruiser. Sidewinder is just a boomerang coaster. It isn't very popular or a very strong coaster in Hershey's lineup, which definitely shows in its wait times. Wild Mouse is just a Wild Mouse coaster, pretty much just your average Wild Mouse clone that can be found at a lot of other amusement parks, which definitely also shows in its wait times. Wild Cat is a rough old coaster, and a lot of people find it extremely rough and uncomfortable, which definitely once again shows in its wait times. Even with it being the original GCI, it unfortunately has not aged well. Coco Cruiser is pretty self-explanatory, pretty much just a kiddie coaster and nothing really special about it, which is why it's finding itself a spot in the weakest tier. The coasters that fall into this tier for the enthusiasts are Laugh Track, Sidewinder, Trailblazer, Wild Mouse, Wild Cat, and Coco Cruiser. Laugh Track is in the weakest tier for enthusiasts because of the thrill factor. Laugh Track isn't very thrilling, and it also doesn't really spin as much as most of us thought it would. Once again, Sidewinder and Wild Mouse are just Vekoma Boomerang and Wild Mouse clones. They aren't very unique like most of the coasters in Hershey's lineup, and most enthusiasts don't really care for them. Trailblazer is just an Aero mine train coaster, and it doesn't really have a very exciting layout. Wild Cat is found to be too rough by most enthusiasts, and a lot of enthusiasts wanted to get a hybrid treatment. And Coco Cruiser, once again, just your average kiddie coaster. The next tier is going to be the middle or the okay tier. These are the coasters that aren't necessarily the best in the park, but they are still pretty strong coasters in the park lineup. They just aren't strong enough to be in the top tier. The coasters that fall into this category for the GP are Lightning Racer, Sky Rush, Trailblazer, and Super Duper Leaper. Lightning Racer is a great woody and it duels, but it's almost always a walk-on, which is why it's in the okay tier for the GP. Sky Rush is a very intense coaster, and most people in the GP don't want to ride a coaster as intense as Sky Rush is. Some people from the GP will ride it, but it shows in Sky Rush's wait times that most people in the GP are intimidated by it. Trailblazer is a great family coaster, and the GP enjoy it, but it's just a family coaster at the end of the day, and it isn't very popular, which is why it is going to find a spot in the okay tier for the GP. Just like Trailblazer, Super Duper Leaper is a great family coaster. Younger kids really enjoy it. It's great at being a family coaster, but it isn't one of the coasters that is going to draw people from the GP to the park, which is why it's in the okay tier for the GP. The coasters that fall into the okay tier for enthusiasts are Comet, Lightning Racer, and Super Duper Leaper. Comet is an amazing wooden coaster. It's very smooth for a wooden coaster, and also considering its age, but it isn't necessarily one of the coasters that's going to draw enthusiasts from different areas to the park. Lightning Racer is also a really good wooden coaster since it duels, and a lot of enthusiasts enjoy the dueling aspect of the ride, but a lot of enthusiasts, just like Wild Cat, complain about it being rough, and once again, it's almost always a walk-on, and it won't necessarily draw enthusiasts from different areas to Hershey Park, which is why it's in the okay tier. Super Duper Leaper, once again, is a family coaster, but the nostalgic aspect of it makes it very special to a lot of enthusiasts that grew up going to Hershey Park, which is why it's in the okay tier for the enthusiasts. The final tier is the strongest tier. The coasters that fall into this category for the GP are Candymonium, Comet, Fahrenheit, Great Bear, Laugh Track, and Storm Runner. Candymonium is the park's newest coaster. It's a B&M hyper coaster, which really appeals to the GP, not to mention it's the tallest, fastest, longest, and sweetest coaster at the park, with lots of floater airtime, which also really appeals to the GP. Comet is a great wooden coaster, and as I said earlier, Comet is also a very smooth coaster, and it has a lot of great airtime. It also almost always has one of the longest lines in the park, which is why it's in the top tier for the GP. Laugh Track is in the top tier for the GP because it can appeal to everyone, and it can be fun for the whole family with the great theming. It also almost has one of the longest lines in the park. Fahrenheit, Great Bear, and Storm Runner are the coasters that are going to draw more people from outside the area. Fahrenheit is probably intimidating to the GP with the vertical lift, the beyond vertical drop, and the 6 inversions. Great Bear is a B&M invert, which really appeals to the GP. Great Bear only has a 124-foot drop with 4 inversions, so it isn't too intimidating, and it has that iconic roar that you can hear from most areas of the park. Storm Runner is the park's only launch coaster, so it gives a unique experience that you can't get anywhere else in the park, and it's also very smooth, and it's not too intense. It's kind of intense, but it's not too bad. The coasters that fall into this tier for the enthusiasts are Candymonium, Great Bear, Sky Rush, and Storm Runner. Candymonium, once again, is the park's newest coaster. It has great floater airtime and is definitely one of the smoothest coasters at the park. Fahrenheit, Great Bear, Sky Rush, and Storm Runner are all coasters that are going to draw enthusiasts from other areas. Fahrenheit has a vertical lift beyond vertical drop and 6 great inversions. The only problem with Fahrenheit last season was it had a slight rattle, which was probably a slight turnoff for some enthusiasts, but it's still in the top tier. Great Bear is a B&M invert with a pretty unique layout, and a lot of enthusiasts agree that it's underrated. Sky Rush is definitely the most intense coaster at the park, and with the exception of the restraints, it is arguably the best coaster at the park among many enthusiasts. Storm Runner is the only launch coaster at the park, and even though it's a very short coaster, it's definitely a very sweet coaster. There you have it. This is how the coasters at Hershey rank between the GP and the enthusiasts. If you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content that will be coming soon. Also, please make sure to tell me in the comments how you think the coasters rank between the GP and the enthusiasts at Hershey Park. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone, have a great rest of your day.